All right. We're going bare bones this tonight. We've had some streaming issues to say the least, but hopefully we'll get a good show in here. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. My name is Tony Dunn. They call me the professor. You can follow me on Twitter at cat_chronicles. I'm here tonight with Cody Lashney to chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Cody, rough start, but we're going to get through it.
Yeah, man, we always do. I want to thank all the people in the chat, all of our diehards that are still with us. And we're going to have a good show tonight, man. This train keeps on rolling. And I'm ready to go, man. Let's do it. Tuesday.
All right. Tonight is the first episode of the season, episode 19.1. The show is titled Atlas Shrugged, Tyrell the Gazelle, and Defense Wins Championships. We're going to be talking about Cam Newton, some of the latest news surrounding his surgery, the retirement of Julius Peppers, little news out of David Tepper making some donations. We'll talk Super Bowl and some different things. Be sure to go ahead, jump in the new chat room, subscribe to the show, turn your phone from landscape to portrait mode, smash that thumbs up button. If you're listening on any other device, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, make sure you subscribe and consider leaving a review. You can even consider donating to the show. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're here now. Let's go ahead and start with, I guess, the first and most important news, and the reason we call it Atlas Shrugged is the world is on Cam Newton's shoulders, the weight of the world. And after news surrounding a press conference where David Newton had covered some comments a little liberally when it comes to David Tepper and stating what they could do concerning Cam Newton. They even floated out there the idea, or at least David Newton from ESPN suggested that Cam Newton could sit the entire year, which was seemed to be a liberal use of the wording out of lacking context. But ESPN ran with the story, and I think that they ran it hard nationally for a couple of days, and that then I think made us even more concerned. Cam Newton then goes under the knife over the last week, and we talked about it in the last show, I believe, cleanup surgery. But news coming out of this, at least, Cody, is that it sounds like positive reports that they believe Cam Newton will be ready for training camp at this point. I got to say that I feel at this point, I actually feel the best I've felt. The shroud of mystery is gone for me. We've done something. It's rehabilitation time. And I think that training camp could clearly be an option for Cam Newton.
I hope so, man. I remember in 2016 or 17 going into the season when we didn't really know what the health of Cam Newton's shoulder was, and it was up and down. There were parts of the training camp where he didn't participate at all. Then he was limited. Then he was trying to do as much as possible. I don't know, man. I'm of the mindset that I'll believe it when I see it. Not that I'm doubting the reports of him being healthy and him being okay and everything seeming to be kosher moving forward. But listen, man, I'm not confident until I see Cam Newton throwing a ball down the field, man, the old Cam Newton. Until I see that, I don't know. I'm not sleeping as easy as I want to be, but I am happy that there is news coming out that isn't as bad as we felt before.
Smaller, sounds like, I mean, clearly since the team physician did this, sounds like a smaller operation. Everything that we've heard indicates that this was more of a, I read this as I heard one source say that it was getting rid of a little scar tissue. And so I do believe that Cam Newton, I think we're in a better spot than we were when he had this surgery in 2017. I do believe that this could be a real, is that at the end of the day, at least we took a step to go forward. And no one believes, I don't think at this point, that Cam Newton's shoulder is ruined forever. So this is a good step in at least alleviating that. The belief that he could be there for training camp Even if they use him cautiously in the first week or two in training camp, hopefully they learned a little bit from last training camp where they let him loose the first week and then they had to shut him down the whole time. You know, maybe they can bring him along a little bit more conservatively in this process, and he can finally get better. Big shout out to Susan Deans as well as Josh from Mass. They are keeping the show and preventing the show from being traded to Buffalo.
Thank God.
Thank God. There's a lot of good things when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. There's not a lot of good things when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, other than their table body slamming thing is remarkably entertaining. Hey, look, I actually got a lot of respect for Bills fans. Throwing dildos on the field and body slamming people onto tables. Those mugs, they know how to throw a party, it sounds like.
I mean, is it really a party if there isn't dildos around? I mean, come on, dude. The Buffalo Bills are doing it right, man. So, yeah, shout out to them. Keep rumbling, y'all.
Keep rumbling. All right. So Cam Newton will continue. You can we have a segment on Cam Watch 2019 on Pirate Radio that Clip's going to do. And so every day we're going to ask until we see Cam Newton is how's Cam Newton doing? It all rests on Cam Newton. But let's turn to another legend. While we're worrying about the most current superstar of the Carolina Panthers, the legend, the living legend, Julius Peppers, retired in the past week. And he has gotten a royal send-off by the NFL. Let's go ahead and say this, dude. 17 years in the league as a defensive end. Holy moly. He only missed 6 games in his whole career.
Yeah, the man was an absolute monster. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I'm going to try something, and this is a little bit impromptu. Tell me if everyone in the chat, if you will be able to have some sound here. I'm going to try and play something, and hopefully this works. But if it doesn't, it doesn't.
No sound.
No sound. All right. Well, we tried. But yeah, Julius Peppers.
I might be able to get it. I'm just going to try to play the audio here, and let me see if you guys can just hear this audio.
After 17 seasons, how did that come about? And after you've had a little time to process it, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm happy. Got a lot of well wishes. So yesterday was a great day, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. I'm happy. I'm healthy, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
To be able to come back to Carolina and close out your career, what does that mean to you? That very few players can do that, but you were able to.
It's great. It's great. I think the whole story, the coming full circle, was a great thing. I'm happy to be home and happy to finish it out as a Panther.
All right, there's Julius Peppers commenting this, and that was a big part of the story, was the coming home narrative. Yeah. And I actually was a little stunned about how much it meant to Julius Peppers.
What specifically?
Coming back, being re-ingratiating himself with the fans, retiring a Panther. I thought that the way that Panther fans were so salty that he chose to leave. When I feel like we could all see the writing was on the wall for those Panthers teams a little bit as well. Look at what Steve Smith did. Steve Smith here sat here and anguished in a career. Had he gone on to another team, potentially could have been like with the Colts and won Super Bowls, been with the Patriots or something like that. But Julius Peppers was booed by fans when he came back. He did boot the football and shush them when he sacked Cam. I do think that was a reminder that I'm still the baddest mofo in town. But I just feel like it's not, I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't think that, I thought that half of what players do in the sentimentalism towards fans is part fake. I kind of think that it helps like, I almost think that Thomas Davis and some people have used their bead with the fans to help them.
I mean, I don't know if I go that far. I mean, okay, let me say this. I agree with you on Julius Peppers a little bit, but I genuinely do feel that Thomas Davis has a place in his heart with and for the Carolina Panthers. And I do think that it actually does bother him not being able to finish his career with the Panthers. But when it comes to Julius, man, listen, he decided to leave. He wanted to try his hand as being a 3-4 outside linebacker and prove that he was versatile enough to do that. So he went where he felt he was going to be able to do that. He went to the Bears and then went to the Packers. And I agree with a ton of people in the chat. You know, when I saw that video on Twitter, I remember seeing it, and I knew that it was coming. I mean, we knew Julius wasn't going to come back for another season. I mean, that was a foregone conclusion. But then when you see the video and him wrapping it up, it's just, I had this feel of, damn, man, there goes another legendary Panther that will never have the chance to hold a Vince Lombardi trophy as a Carolina Panther or at all. And it upset me, man. It upset me more than I even thought that it would. And I genuinely hope that Cam Newton and number 59, Luke, that they don't walk the same road of not being able to know that experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sad thing. You saw legends walk away for the Carolina Panthers, like you said, Thomas Davis, Ryan Khalil. I mean, Steve Smith didn't get that opportunity. He leaves and goes to the Ravens in this kind of odd fashion. So it is sad. I just was a little bit surprised because we don't know a lot about Pep personally. I mean, even when you see him, he's so soft-spoken and kind of mild-mannered that I was a little surprised that it meant that much to him to put that final arc on his career. I am so happy that it did mean that much to me, and that is reassuring to me because I invest so much in these people. Julius Peppers is look, I got the oldest Peppers jersey in the world right here, brother. This jersey is from 2002 when he was drafted. My wife bought it for me. You know, so that I thought that was intriguing. I really like that. And they said, I saw that Bill Voth came out and said that like he was 7 sentences in, and then Julius Peppers came in with a script and what he wanted to do, and then they made that video and made us all cry. Yeah. I wasn't sad though. I wasn't sad. So I was in my feelings, but you know, I spent the whole day. Actually, not the whole day. Don't tell my employer that. I get to work a little early this year, and so that's good. So I sip my coffee. I don't always just get straight to the email and stuff. And I watched that video that then turned me on to highlight videos from when he was in college, in the pros. And boy, I tell you, the product
basketball too.
I know the productivity that Julius Peppers had on the field. Yeah. I had disproportionately that productivity at work that day. Like, he was so productive. I just watched YouTube videos and that, you know, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to really gauge how much people mean to these players. I mean, then you go and see Thomas Davis he won't even mind playing for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, no, that one I don't believe. I believe he was in Atlanta and he was just playing nice for the Atlanta media over my dead body, dude. I genuinely believe that you will not see Thomas Davis in the NFC South next year playing for an NFC South.
Jeremy Clancy said, I knew TD would ask to play in Atlanta.
No,
look, he went to school. He's a Georgia Bulldog.
I know it, man. But listen, and look, maybe we're wrong. And I know you just said you kind of feel that they kind of use it to their advantage to kind of gather some.
Both him and Olsen milk it a little bit.
I don't know, man. I just feel Thomas Davis is really a Panther in his heart. I mean, did you see that car that he has? It's custom made. It's black and blue, everything. There's Panthers in the interior. Look, man, that man's a Carolina Panther. I mean, maybe if they offer him a boatload of money, but I mean, honestly, for as much as Thomas Davis was an incredible player, who is going to throw a ton of money at what, a 34, 35-year-old Thomas
I don't
Davis?
think he even wants a ton of money. I think he just wants to pay and get paid and play. That's what it seems to me like, is that we thought that the Carolina Panthers meant the most to him, but and I think he believed that, but I think also now what he realizes is that football means a lot. It means the most to him.
Yeah, and it definitely does. I don't know. I mean, we'll end up seeing what's happening, but or what will end up happening. But the last thing on Julius Peppers, man, you're talking about a surefire Hall of Famer, 4th all-time in sacks. I mean, the man is just dominant. He's been dominant just about every year that he's played.
And he's a half sack away from being 3rd.
A half a sack, man. Absolutely insane. The man's awesome, and I'm happy for every snap he played as a Carolina Panther, man. He will be missed. And I'm hoping that one day maybe we find a dominant edge rusher to genuinely be able to fill those shoes.
I do like the terms is that while we couldn't get Julius Peppers a Lombardi, or we couldn't even get Thomas Davis one, I do believe both of these guys are leaving the organization on positive terms. And that is where a guy where that they played one too many years and you're starting to go, we loved you so much. And then that your memory of them is tarnished by the fact that they dropped off so quickly. Is that last year we did not see Thomas Davis or Julius Peppers as the primary weakness of our teams. Well, were they as great as they have been in the past? No, but they were not a detriment to the team necessarily.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing, the term. So I think I'm satisfied with the way this is going. All right, so we've talked about Cam Newton. We've gone to Thomas Davis, Julius Peppers, Thomas Davis unexpectedly. Now David Tepper making some news. Cody, I won't play the videos, but right now is that he's had some fun this week. It's nice having a billionaire as an owner. Donated $120,000 worth of backpacks, I believe, or just he continues. He is having a ton of fun as an owner. And I believe this is I have a boss, or I have someone I work with who does not think highly of the NFL ownership group. She's a Cowboys fan. She's a minority woman, and she just thinks that the NFL, the archetype for a owner of an NFL team is a super rich white man who's out of touch and doesn't have a lot of character substance to them. Now, I know that's a generalization, but I mean, when Jerry Jones is your owner, I think that that's where a lot of that can come. But you look around the league and a lot of these owners, you look at the Texans owner, you look at some of the stories that cover Irsay and some different things. To me, Tepper is doing a great job of presenting himself as a good dude.
Yeah, well, and to your coworkers' credit, it's definitely a billionaires boys club. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You have to be in the most upper echelon to even be able to buy an NFL team. So that means you live a certain kind of lifestyle. But at the same point in time, their organization is making millionaires. I mean, think about the players that come from nothing. They're good at football, and if they do make it to the NFL, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they've got millions of dollars. So, I mean, I see both sides to it. But listen, whenever we talk about David Tepper, we have to talk about Jerry Richardson, because it's a man that we never heard from. We never heard anything from him. Maybe there's the occasional appearance at a Christmas tree lighting or something. But there's nothing concerning him talking about the team or, really being involved even in the community that much. And it seems very important to David Tepper that, especially as a brand new owner, he wants to ingratiate himself with Charlotte, with North and South Carolina. And it seems to be very important to him. And I think he's done a damn good job at doing that.
Yeah, I think right now he has done everything you could want a new owner to do. He's come in and already invested himself in the community.
Yeah.
He's getting on the ground, like he's going to Roaring Riot tailgates. He's walking around. And I know occasionally, like back in like 2000, Jerry Richardson would ride around on a golf court every now and then. But I feel like he's trying to he dresses like a normal dude. He speaks in a way that shows that he's intelligent, but he's not wearing the Armani suits and the this and that. He feels like a guy that just happened to earn a fortune in the stock market, but still is rooted in regular person speak. Now, this could all be a facade as well. You want to talk about that? Who knows? Is that the guy also has a pair of brass balls on his desk? He also has a revenge mansion where he basically burnt down his old boss's house and built one that was 5 times as big on top of it. And he did I'm not even going to get it, but from what we can tell in the early phases of this, already investing in the practice facilities, already looking to expand his footprint or his thumbprint in Charlotte, all signs are pointing positively. And it's just kind of good to have a billionaire owner because you got no problems. If you money is not the issue with this organization. Not that I think it's an issue with a lot of them, but I don't think $1 million would keep us from getting a coach we wanted.
No, and I want to make 2 points too. It's not just even with the community, but it's also with Panther fans. So think about how many times this season we saw the Panthers in the all-black uniforms. I mean, we didn't see the black tops and the silver pants one time this year. And for years, Panther fans have been wanting to see the all-black uniforms forever. And Jerry Richardson never wanted them, it seems like. And we had them almost all year. How about the Panther right in the middle of the field? I mean, that's Bank of America Stadium. That's our field. This is our home. And David Tepper, sensed that amongst fans and wants to do things for the fans specifically. And I love that. We should cherish that in an owner. I also feel as though he's made some statements about wanting to, and even as recently as this past weekend when he was in the Bank of America Stadium donating all that money, he wants to put a roof on Bank of America Stadium. He wants to host the NCAA Final Four. I mean, this is out of the man's mouth. So it's not only that he has his thumb on the pulse of Panther Nation, but he has a vision for where he wants the team to be moving forward. And that's promising,
Yeah, it's tremendous and very excited about hearing that news. I have just been it's just so refreshing to have that new kind of breath of fresh air. Susan Dean says Tepper stayed in a hotel for 3 months in Charlotte. He was like a regular guy, so personable. Lynn is complimented on him about his appearances, fan appearances, player event appearances, the latest with Cam's opening. Did he attend the cigar opening?
Yes, he was there, and he even wore a few of Cam Newton's hats. So, yeah, man, he's ingratiating himself with the players as well.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, you're mentioning the facilities, the upgrades, the field logos, the response. He's trying to seem like he's interested in making this about the fans. So that's important. Lynn says it's like having a new car smell. And B Amos 85 is right, is that while we all love the all black uniforms, we don't win a lot in them.
Well, maybe I'm not into all of that superstition, man. When we have a dominant football team, I don't care if we're wearing pink and purple, dude. We're whooping ass. It's all about personnel. I don't buy that the blacks are victorious or that cause us to lose or whatever. It's all about football, man. So
I don't know. I am not walking I'm not walking under ladders on purpose. I think the problem is this. I don't think it's the black uniforms. I think the problem is the black uniforms don't have black helmets.
Yeah, a lot of fans do want that, though. I mean, I've even shared some concepts on Twitter that I found online that I liked a lot. I think the only problem with the black helmets is then your logo is only the outline in blue of the Panther head. So it's kind of minimalistic in that sense. But I'm down for it, though.
But you look like a futuristic soldier.
Yeah, look, you don't have to sell me, man. I'm down for the whole thing. And I also wouldn't be surprised if we have new uniforms at some point in our future.
Yeah, near future.
Saying. Yeah.
All right, let's see other news going on with the Carolina Panthers. I saw Greg Olsen put up a sad tweet, and I'll have to go back and find it. But you know who it was. He retweeted
I have it. I'll send it to you.
What is the football player that he retweeted?
Neymar. He's like the most famous Brazilian soccer player in the world. And I don't know crap about soccer, but yeah, he
I got it. Let's see. Okay. It says something. So he puts up. Nope, I don't got it. Is that? But he also, this guy is suffering from a similar injury. I gather from Greg Olsen that Greg Olsen is, which is these tiny baby bones in their feet.
Yeah,
they look like the most inconsequential things, like things that if you were eating a foot like a chicken wing, like you would just swallow it like gristle. And he says this is Greg Olsen says, and it's talking about this the metatarsal. He wanted what he wanted for his birthday present was a new metatarsal so he could be back on the football field. That's a tearful Neymar. And when Greg Olsen says, if you find one, let me know. I'm also in the market.
I kind of felt that was a little bit playful more than anything else, but I don't know. I don't know what you claim.
I just gathered that as this is that this is what I gather is. I don't know what it means I don't see it as like a tremendous insight into Greg Olsen's current health status. What I do recognize though is, and he said this over and over, that this is just this small little bone that's given me all of these problems. And I think that he saw himself at on a good team, at a good point in his career where maybe he wasn't getting faster, but he was smart enough and still had enough juice in the tank to be to get a couple more decent seasons. And I think that basically it's kind of like one of those things when your body gives out, but your brain is still sharp. You know, it's just like this one little thing is keeping you having this beautiful car sitting in the driveway and a bad battery cable.
Yeah, and you know what also is unfair? I mean, it's that what have you done for me lately mentality. I mean, other than the past 2 years, Greg Olsen hadn't missed a start in forever. I mean, he was one of the most dependable players in the NFL. He never missed a game. And then this metatarsal thing the past 2 years pops up with him. And now he's kind of known as a guy that's been hurt a lot. And everything that he's done up until then is sort of out the window. So I definitely feel bad for the man. I mean, listen, I've said this before, and I'll say it even more, that since Cam Newton has been with the Panthers and the NFL, he has not had a more reliable weapon, a more dependable threat on the football field than Greg Olsen. I mean, Greg Olsen has essentially been his number one receiver minus 2 years of Steve Smith the entire time that he's been here in Carolina. So I love the man.
Look at this. J-Dub in the house. I ain't seen J-Dub in a minute.
J-Dub? What's up, brother? Yeah, man, he said pool was closed tonight. They're having that crazy weather up there.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Antarctic weather, man.
Yeah, I saw this crap. This was in California though, and it was on Good Morning America. It rained. It snowed 72 inches in 24 hours.
Dude, that's so dumb.
It hasn't snowed 72 inches in North Carolina in 2,400 years.
Dude. Well,
in Eastern North Carolina. But all right, so I thought that was sad. I think with Greg Olsen for me I think it must be humbling to him, and I think that this is where he's frustrated. You've seen it's a frustration, is that something so small when everything else is working so well. Yeah, he said this damn foot. It's just this damn foot. Like the rest of his body is sharp. It's not like he's like falling apart. This small little bone or metatarsal or whatever it is holding him back. All right, so what else is on the agenda tonight? What else do we got, Cody?
Well, we don't have an ability to...
Oh, I'll play the audio. You want to play the audio? Let's play the audio of Steve Smith.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Okay, so let me set this up. Everybody's doing Super Bowl press, and Steve Smith had a story to tell. This is also related to Julius Peppers. Steve Smith had a story to tell about John Fox. You have an echo going, Tony.
I fixed it.
Okay. Steve Smith had a story about John Fox relating to Julius Peppers and the draft. And I just thought this was hilarious and led to my theory that John Fox was always a moron, an utter moron.
All right.
Go ahead and play it for
Here we go.
Let him hear it.
Here's a story that nobody knows. First time ever I'm going to tell it. I know for a fact that at that time, Coach John Fox wanted the cornerback out of Texas that the San Diego Chargers picked as number 3. Mr. Richardson said, no, I want Pep. And Mr. Richardson drafted Pep. John didn't want him. And I remember that was a battle. And the cool part about it is Pep was that game wrecker. Mr. Richardson understood homegrown talent. He's from Bailey, North Carolina. My daughter's named Bailey, right? Pep is just that guy. He's a guy you feared. He was so good that they actually tried to put him on the offense to catch a jump ball, So one of the things, and the last story about him is, I was 89 my whole career, everywhere I went, and Pep was 90. Man, that was the worst type of roster pitcher, team pitcher you can have, because he was on the step and he was like this.
I love it.
Right? And I used to, at my first couple of years, I was like, oh man, I'm short. Man, by the other time, I was in cleats, standing on my tippy toes. I was like, this is terrible. Right?
Yep.
But it was just one of those things, man. One of those things, you know how you play with certain people, you go, oh man, it was good to play with them. Man, Pep is one of those guys. You don't say, I was on the team with the Carolina Panthers, blah, blah, blah. It was like, man, my teammate was Julius Peppers. Like, I got to play with Julius Peppers. He just was one of those guys that I will remember as one of the guys where it just kind of sticks out of your mind. It's like, man, it was cool, and I really enjoyed it.
And you think about that draft class, too, that he was in. Like, Ed Reed was in that draft class, David Carr, Jeremy Shockey. Like, the fact that he's just retiring now and he's had such an amazing career.
And Quentin Jammer.
Jammer, that's what I said in the Chargers. Thank you.
Quentin Jammer.
Wow. Texas or Texas A&M?
Yeah.
I remember.
I believe Texas.
Yes.
I believe Texas.
And it was unbelievable. The infighting that they had. Miss Richardson said, look, I'm a billionaire. This is my team. We're going to get Pep. Hey, team will work out pretty good.
It did work out pretty good. Is that now? So some things that come to me right away that I ask, how does he know that story, Cody? Well, he was drafted 1 year after Julius Peppers.
Well, yeah, but I think you should, mention what you told me is that Steve Smith and Jerry Richardson, they were very close, having dinner together at certain points in time. I see it very, reasonable to believe that at one point Jerry Richardson, maybe they're having a cigar and some brandy and they're just telling stories. And hey man, your teammate, your dumbass coach didn't even want that badass defensive linemen that you stand next to every time you take a team picture. That seems plausible to me, man.
I think that is where it comes from. Is I think that's where the intel for Steve Smith on this comes from. Is that he was known for being kind of Jerry Richardson's one of his favorites and very close with him. And I think that's also why he took the news of how Dave Gettleman handled everything so poorly or so harshly. Now, look, B. Amos 85 says Quentin Jammer was a bust. Now, Quentin Jammer made Pro Bowl a couple of times. He played 11 years in the NFL. There was another tweet I saw that was based on that video that said Joey Harrington was the guy that John Fox wanted. But I wanted to bring this up. She was talking about some names in that. She said Carr, who was the #1 pick. Bust there. If I don't even like to call Carr a bust, is that I think he was broken in Houston. He got sacked 72 times in a season, and he just never looked. He just looked forever shook after that season, and to the point where large men walked into the movie theater and sat down on the same row, and he just peed himself. Right? Is that? But Ed Reed was in that class. Another one was who was the defensive end who had the greatest spin move, who played in Indianapolis, then went to Denver. His name was, he's a Hall of Famer too. He just retired like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Help me out. Indianapolis Colts. The chat room. Where's the chat room when we need you, folks?
I know who you mean, but his name
Freeney. Ken Dye got it. Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney was in that class, and Ed Reed was in that class. And that's the crazy part about this is some of these guys, Quentin Jammer, Joey Harrington, it feels like a decade has gone by since they have been in the league, and Julius Peppers is just exiting.
Yeah, Ed Reed retired 5 years ago, or sooner, maybe. I
feel like it's got to be 5 years.
Yeah, but yeah, because he's a Hall of Famer now. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, and they should have
just stuck Pep right in there to yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Julius Peppers, to play that position, defensive end, that is such a taxing position to play, man. I mean, you're in. They don't call it the trenches for just no reason at all.
Yeah,
man.
The position is important too. It's not like he played a position that was a protected position.
Yeah, 100%. And then to play that long. I mean, everyone talks about Tom Brady, and yeah, Tom Brady is incredibly impressive. You know, winning a 6th Super Bowl. But I think Julius Peppers, for what he has done at the position he has played, man, to me, for my money, that's every bit as impressive. I mean, to be able to do that and be that successful for that long.
J-Dub asked this, first Panther in the Hall of Fame, Pep or Smith? I say Peppers because his numbers are so astronomically good. His career is so impressive.
Yeah, I say Peppers because I mean, Steve Smith is more beloved as a Panther, but Julius Peppers played a more important position, in my opinion, and is 4th all time in sacks. Yeah, I'm probably saying Peppers.
Smith. Ken Dye says Smith because he retired earlier. And to Smith's credit, played with a trash group of quarterbacks from about 2009 to 2012 to 08 to 2011 until we got Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And he did win the freaking Triple Crown, dude, one year. That's insane. Where you get the most touchdowns, the most yards, and the most receptions.
Yeah, man. Steve Smith was the man, dude. It kind of goes back to what I'm saying, man. That's another Panther legend that, you know, retired without a Super Bowl victory to his name. And at a certain point, you just hate to see it, man. There are players that play their asses off, and they deserve to have one. And Peppers and Steve Smith are both 2 of those players.
How long do you have to wait? J-Dub says, so Smith doesn't make it then because he's eligible first. Oh, you have to. If you mandatorily have to wait for 4 years,
No, it's 5 years.
It is 5 years before they can.
years.
That's bullcrap. I feel like they should put Pep in like Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
The first unanimous vote. Just stick him in.
Yeah.
All right. So then obviously it is Smitty, because I think Smitty makes the Hall. I think he should make the Hall. I think that he had a long enough career. And I think that Triple Crown season alone is the thing to cement it.
I mean, yeah, if we're talking realistic, yeah, it's Steve Smith, because he'll be eligible first. I don't know, though. I mean, listen, we obviously love Smith, but do you think he is a Hall of Famer in the eyes of other voters? I mean, that's a good question, you know?
That is a great question. Are we too friendly to Steve Smith? Let me see. I want to look up his numbers. Steve Smith. Oh, it says he came in 01. If that's the case, then he was drafted before Pep. I swear Pep was 01. They might have come in the same class, to be honest.
I mean, you might have your wires crossed on that one. That's what I thought originally, that Steve Smith was there before Pep, because he was a 6th-round pick, wasn't he?
All right, he said. All right, so I was wrong. I thought it was Peppers then Smith. Okay. So Steve Smith had a total of this. Let's see. Holy shit, is that right? 1,000 receptions. 1,031 receptions. Holy crap, that's a lot of catches, bro.
Yeah, a lot.
14,731 yards and 81 touchdowns. I wonder who the most recent wide receiver.
The most recent wide receiver
that made the Hall of Fame was.
T.O. probably, huh? But T.O. and Randy Moss were last year.
Yep. All right. So look at let's compare T.O.'s stats. I can compare the two of them, compare to other players. Pro Football, by the way, top websites out there in just the world of everything. One is overthecap.com if you want salary cap stuff, and the other is Pro Football Reference. And Terrell Owens, he played 14 years, 96. They have relatively similar careers, 96 to 2000, 23 to 37. And Smitty was 22 to 37, 22 years old to 37 years old. Let's see.
You know, I kind of think his size and his attitude is going to play into his favor. You know what I mean? The fact that he was a little guy.
Terrell Owens had astronomically better.
Yeah, Terrell Owens. That's why people were saying that it was ridiculous that it took into the 3rd year of his eligibility for him to even be voted into the Hall of Fame. Like, I remember on all the sports shows, and that was the topic of debate, is why hadn't T.O. been voted in yet? And he was a diva. And
he had 153 touchdowns in his career. Steve Smith had 81. And he actually only had 40 more receptions than Steve Smith, but he had 1,200 more yards.
Yeah, I want to say he's like 3rd all time or something crazy like that. I mean, yeah, T.O. was a beast, man. But like I was saying, if Steve Smith ends up being a Hall of Famer, it's going to be 1, the numbers, 2, his size, being a small dude, 3, being so physical, even for someone his size, and number 4, being a later draft pick that was overlooked by everyone.
Who was the wide receiver that was before Reggie Wayne in Indianapolis? that is like their greatest receiver. Once again, help us out, Ken Dye. The best, I'm trying to think who is comparable to Steve Smith. Stats. Let me see what Michael Irvin, but he's not the same type of player.
Harrison.
Marvin Harrison. All right, let's do that. We'll do Marvin Harrison, and then we'll also do Michael Irvin and see. Wow, we did not expect the show to go into Hall of Fame talk right here. All right, so Marvin Harrison had 14. Oh, here, look at this. Marvin Harrison had 1,100 receptions. Steve Smith had 1,031. Marvin Harrison had 1,400 yards, 14,500 yards. And Steve Smith's got him by about 200 yards. But Marvin Harrison has him by, I don't know, almost 50 touchdowns. Michael Irvin only had, look at this. Michael Irvin got into the Hall of Fame with 750 catches, 12,000 yards, and 65 touchdowns. Steve Smith's numbers are better than Michael Irvin's.
Yeah, man. I mean, him being a Panther fan, him being a Panther, and us being fans, maybe we're a little bit biased. In fact, I have no doubt that we're biased. But I do think Steve Smith will have he will be a Hall of Famer. I think the question is, will it be first ballot? So, all right, let me ask you. I'll do some research. Do you know what year Steve Smith retired?
2016.
Okay, 26. Okay, so 5 years from then. So 2021 Hall of Fame class. I'll look that up.
So the right now the question is does he have enough? Oh, B. Amos says Irvin got Super Bowls. That helps.
Yeah,
that helps. And let me see. Irvin played less seasons too. Michael Irvin played from 88 to 1999. So he did that in a far shorter span than Steve Smith did. I don't know. I think Steve Smith, man, he's close. Is that if he would have had, I'm telling you, if he would have played 3 more years and had 20 more touchdowns, if he would have played 3 more years with a better quarterback between 08 and 11, if he would have gone to Indianapolis, he would have been a surefire Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, So here are some of the people that are eligible in 2021. Jared Allen, Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, BJ Raji, which I don't know if that one makes a lot of sense to me. There's a few of them. So it's definitely going to be tough.
Jared Allen's getting in. And Pep definitely has better, and Pep has better numbers than him.
Patrick Willis, Rondé Barber. So yeah, in my mind, it's going to be about will Steve Smith be a first ballot Hall of Famer? But I do believe at some point, yeah, Steve Smith, he'll put on a golden jacket.
All right, we're gonna try to do the free agent preview. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. My name's Tony Dunn. I'm gonna try to do the share screen, Cody. I got the video, hopefully ready to go here. Ooh, nice. Here we go. All right, so what we have done this week is we have, or not this week, we have been seeking out potential free agents that we're identifying as maybe a long shot. Last week was Landon Collins. The week before that was Trey Flowers. There is, so there's a lot of wishing and hoping in this, obviously. But we're also trying to identify, we cannot answer everything through the draft, and we have to get some players in free agency. We have 19 of them leaving us. So the guy that I'm looking at is Tyrell Williams out of San Diego, 6'4", 205 pounds. Tyrell the Gazelle, a deep ball threat, a big body receiver. We're losing Devin Funchess happily. We're pushing him off the cliff. Now, Tyrell Williams, the reason that it's going to be the San Diego Chargers would love to keep him, but they've also got Mike Williams and who's their main dude, who is awesome. And
they have like 3 dudes with the last name Williams.
And then their main guy. Come on, the main guy is. Well, I am really off on my names this week. They have a guy that is way better than Mike Williams. So this guy, all right, Tyrell Williams, he runs fast. He's big. He is asking for potentially. He says he sees himself as a number 1 receiver, but also so does every receiver who enters free agency. Tell us. Keenan Allen. Thank you, Rex. See, if we didn't have the chat room, we wouldn't have a show. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
Up our slack tonight. That's for damn sure.
They dealt with the technical problems to start. Then they dealt with the technical problems that is the host. Right. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on Tyrell Williams and what he could do for the Carolina Panthers. And is something like this even plausible?
Well, I mean, that's the question right there. So one of the things that plays into our favor is because of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, being better options for Phillip Rivers. He only had 5 touchdowns on the year. So his numbers don't command that number 1 wide receiver money. So it depends on how much money you're going to want to pay him. Maybe the type of contract that, we would want to sign Devin Funchess to, us, man, the organization, that might be the type of money that would be reasonable to sign Tyrell Williams. I mean, the man does it all. That go route, jump ball, possession receiver, he is incredible at that. If you see these highlights, his ability to be able to go up and pinpoint the football over the defender's head and still come down with it, absolutely incredible. If Cam Newton's shoulder is back to business, I mean, that's an instant weapon for number 1. He runs a full route tree, but the best weapon in his arsenal is that long ball. He's a bigger receiver. He runs a 4.48, so he's still pretty fast for a big man. And I'm a fan of his, man. I don't know how much money we're going to end up wanting to pay a receiver coming this draft. When we've drafted Samuel and now we have DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey is a threat, and we have to decide what we're going to do with Torrey Smith. All
right, so let's talk briefly about that. Torrey Smith right now is on an option, a 2019 option, $5 million. So you cut him, you free up $5 million in cap space. You cut Captain Munderland. I understand, like Ken says, we're okay at wide receiver. I think we need help at defensive end. I don't think we're okay at wide receiver. I think we have promise at wide receiver at the moment. But outside of Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, who do you really got? Imagine if one of those dudes went down, and you're talking about putting Curtis Samuel and Jarris Wright out there. You do have to, and we have seen that it's difficult when you get to the red zone to have all receivers that are 6 foot and under. That's a difficult thing. And having a guy who is bigger, who is taller, but doesn't sacrifice speed like a Kelvin Benjamin does necessarily, could be advantageous. And is especially this is that, you know what, you need a defensive end in the draft and in free agency regardless. But that doesn't necessarily mean either that you don't have other weaknesses. The question is, though, is this guy had 1,000-yard receiving season in his sophomore year. He did find himself into the depth chart. You know, I mean, it's hard when you have a number 1 draft pick and Mike Williams. You have Keenan Allen. You know, he did that 1,000-yard receiving year when Keenan Allen was injured, I believe. Right. So is that there is a guy. What I think of this is the guy. This is what Pro Football Talk says when it comes to Tyrell Williams. He says the Chargers want him back, but with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams likely gets more money by going elsewhere. They then went on in another article. I thought it was this one that said that if you go back and you look last year, yes, Sammy Watkins got the payday. But if you go back a year before that and you look at Terrell Pryor, who is kind of a guy like this, who has not exactly like this, but it might be more about giving him a multi-year deal than it is about giving him a giant deal. So, you know, he might be a $10 receiver. It might be more than what we kind of wish in many ways. But at the same time, I mean, you could extend it. You could do some different things. I put him, who's the Richardson guy that went to, again, a name that's going to escape me. Paul Richardson. So Ken Dye says Terrell Pryor 6'6" with sub 4.4 speed.
Yeah,
sub 4.4. He runs a 4.3. He's
an up and down player, though. I mean, one minute he's showing he has a #1 potential, and then he kind of disappears.
Well, maybe that's who we should be talking about.
Well, but see, this is my thing, though. I kind of agree with, I believe it might have been Ken Dye who said this earlier. You know, I just, in my mind, you know, I'm kind of a football purist. I believe that when it comes to, you know, football, it's one in the trenches. It's one on the defensive line and the offensive line. And if you have problems there, then, I mean, you're dead on arrival. And I think the wide receiver position, every year there are gems in the 3rd and 4th and 5th round that end up coming in and making an impact somewhere.
But later in their career, this is like a guy that has similar physical attributes of AJ Green. That's where his comparison player is. I'm
not a discount AJ Green, though. I'll say that.
Oh, totally a discount.
Yeah, definitely not
like a Dollar Tree.
Yeah,
AJ Green.
Ken Dye says he ran
Vizio television.
Ken Dye says he ran a 4.38. So,
jeez.
Yeah, man. That's pretty fast. I'm of the mindset, though, bolster the offensive line, bolster the defensive line, and, you know, take best player available in the draft. I don't know if it's a good idea to even pay wide receivers a ton of money when I'm kind of feeling now, especially seeing some of the prospects coming up to the draft, they're almost a dime a dozen. The bigger receivers and the smaller type receivers. I mean, they do it all now. So, I don't know. I'm not in love with spending money on a receiver right now. If we did, let me tell you, I'm not mad if we signed Tyrell Williams. I believe he would be a genuine deep threat that can go up and pinpoint the ball. Cam Newton would love that. That's not something that DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel are going to be able to do. And if we don't have Devin Funchess, then there's no one on the roster to even be able to do that. So
there's just not a lot of defensive ends in free agency. I mean, They say it's a deep draft. They say it's a deep free. But you're talking about Cameron Wake, who is 37. You don't want to do that. Muhammad Wilkerson's defensive tackle. A couple Dante Fowler's out there.
Ezekiel Ansah.
Yep. Now he could be intriguing, but at the same time, is that if you're looking at getting a guy to play aside Addison, you don't need a guy that's very much like Addison, right? Shaquille Barrett, edge rusher from Denver. Let's see who else we got. Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle. I'm starting to think this, and I was looking at, and I was trying, D Ford is another one, Jadeveon Clowney. Some of these guys are going to get tagged. I don't know if I believe. I think we saw Trey Flowers, to me, is the most legitimate of these guys. I don't think I want Brendan Graham from the Eagles. DeMarcus Lawrence, he ain't going nowhere when it comes for the Cowboys, I wouldn't think. So I was thinking about this, Cody, as I was trying to figure out who we were going to pick for this week's segment when it came to the free agent. Better get to know a free agent segment. And I started to think more and more that Darrell Williams might be the free agent that the Panthers are truly interested in signing. As you look outside the league and you look around the league and you try to identify a guy that you could substitute, there's not a lot out there, and you're familiar with him. And if you have some kind of information about his health going forward, it wouldn't be the worst signing as long as you didn't overpay.
I mean, I would, like I said before, if we signed Tyrell Williams, I would be happy with that.
No, I'm talking about Darrell Williams.
Oh, okay.
Offensive tackle. So I was looking at the list, and I was trying to find a list of people. I was trying to find a list of people, and I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting here going, there are no tackles out there that are worth a damn, it seems like. Marshall Newhouse, and then there's everybody's dealing with injury. Matt Khalil is trash. Darrell Williams could be serviceable if healthy.
All right, so then two things about that, though. Now we're going to have Matt Khalil, which, and this is what's going to annoy people, but I will kind of come to the realization. Matt Khalil isn't going nowhere, man.
One more year.
Yeah, and so in my mind, that's kind of saying that if we're going to put Matt Khalil at left tackle, that means we're going to have Taylor Moton at right tackle, who did well there.
We're not going to play Matt Khalil, though. He's going to be on the team, but he ain't going to play.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I want that to be true. Oh, my
God.
But, Tony, think about our coaches. Think about how they've hitched on to players that, us as fans, we know that they're not a serviceable player, but yet they play him anyway. I mean, what, do I need to say Amini Silatolu? Do I need to say that name one more time?
Please don't.
Amini Silatolu. How's that?
I feel like you're saying it in a mirror 3 times and somebody, like some monster, is going to jump out of the shower or something.
Yeah, say Sandman a few times.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like Amini Silatolu's name is.
I mean, listen, the mindset that you hear people say, pay Darrell Williams, put him at right tackle, and put Taylor Moton at left tackle. Well, then you have to ask yourself, do the Panthers believe that Taylor Moton has the potential to be a starter at left tackle? I do, and I think that when we did play him there, he did pretty well. I mean, he did a good job on the left side for the few snaps that he played. But with that said, I honestly don't know why you would pay Darrell Williams and not Andrew Norwell. Andrew Norwell was a much more proven prospect.
Because you don't got to pay him $64 million because you can pay him $20 because he's coming off a knee injury. Andrew Norwell was an all-pro or a pro bowler.
The Cardinals or Buffalo, there's no guarantee that they're not going to throw the bag at Darrell Williams.
If that's the case, then we can't do it. But if you can get in there because you have a relationship with him, all right, now you're talking me out of it, jerk.
Hey, man, I'm just being a realist, man. I'm just being a realist. I would listen. I would love to sign Darrell Williams, but I just don't know that that's going to happen. They're either going to hitch themselves to Matt Khalil for another year and then put Taylor Moton at right tackle, which, to be fair, I believe that Taylor Moton was drafted to be a right tackle in the NFL. So with that said, you know, Darrell Williams kind of the odd man out, and they're going to pay him somewhere else. I mean, I don't know. If I had my druthers, I'm drafting a left tackle in the first round, putting Taylor on the right side, you know, drafting a center or guard at some point too. And moving forward, man, we have to build a wall around Cam Newton.
Build that wall. Build that wall
around Cam Newton.
And even the president of the United States said, if it's necessary, we'll build that wall with people today.
Yeah.
So let's build a wall of people around Cam Newton.
I'm down.
Thank you. The State of the Union address from the Carolina Panthers fans. Build that wall. Build that wall of people. I think, how awesome is it to be Darrell Williams, to be honest, the guy who's a third-round draft pick who has suffered with injuries throughout his career, had one good season in the NFL, but because he plays a position where everybody is getting abused at throughout the NFL, he's coming off an injury and looking like he's the 30, let me see. Right now, according to Pro Football Focus, he is, hold on, the 18th overall rated free agent. That's head of Jawan James, tackle from Miami. Crazy. What, man? Who would have thought? You would have thought Darrell Williams was one of those guys that had promised that injury is going to ruin his career. Darrell Williams had injuries, and they're going to get him paid. All right.
Yeah, he had a good year in 2017. But I don't know, coming off that injury, this is the last thing I'll say. The last time I heard any rumors about the inside talks was that the offer that they put out to Darrell Williams was a lot lower than the money that he wanted. So they were far apart. So
yeah, he knows what's up. He's not looking to, All right. Let's go ahead. This is the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's the most interactive podcast. Look, we've got one of the larger off-season audiences watching right now that we've had since the Panthers have fallen out of it. And that's after 15 to 20 minutes of technical difficulties going to the old throwback hangouts here. We appreciate it. Smash that thumbs up button. Continue to support the show. And you do that in the chat room and on the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. You can call anytime and leave a message. We'll play it on the podcast. The number is 252-228-5098. Let's jump into this week's calls and see what you guys got.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like a 3 and a 4 and a who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hi there, Panthers fans. It's Rich in Wembley.
What's up, Rich?
Yeah, so I'm staring at the arch over Wembley Stadium, and it's another new colour. Hopefully, it'll be Panther blue sometime next season. I was just going to talk a bit about the draft. I know Cody and I, you and Tony, we've been going back and forth quite a bit. So all the guys that I've mocked for the Panthers, and in my 500 mock drafts I've done, going in the second, third, and fourth rounds, it now looks like they're all going in the first round. So names for everyone to look at: Dalton Reisner, Garrett Bradbury, Michael Dieter, Bo Beschrezul. Basically, any guys from Wisconsin, they form a decent line. We're now being perhaps mocked Jawan Taylor of Florida as well at tackle. I think from all the mocks I've seen, if we get lucky, there'll be some quarterbacks. If there's quarterbacks taken, I'm picking at 16. There is going to be one or two blue chip players for us to choose from. There's about 5 edges between Bosa, Josh Allen, Ja'Kai Polite, Brian Burns, Cleveland Ferrell. Then the tackles, you've got Jonah Williams and Jawan Taylor and Cody Ford, Dalton Reisner. Avery at centre.
He knows what's up. Yeah.
Lindstrom of Boston College. There's a load of really good guys, and that's not even going into the Clemson D-line guys that you also know better in Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence, and then the cornerbacks. You know, there's going to be someone, and obviously my favourite Adderley, but don't know if you want a safety in 16. You want him, if he was still at 25, you'd want Adderley there, but I think we can get something really decent. Anyway, it's off season, the Super Bowl's over. The Patriots have worked out how to play football, unfortunately. Maybe we will as well. Anyway, guys, great podcast. And catch everybody on Twitter. Keep pounding.
All right, that is Rich Kingston there. Now, throwing out a lot of names. He has been doing a ton of mock drafts there. The Panthers at 16 are not in the worst position, but what we will learn about and they're not in the best position either. You know, it would have really been nice to have a top 10 pick, another 8 overall pick like when we got Christian McCaffrey. But at the same time, I think what really we have no idea is that while there's talks of even outside linebackers, safeties, we know that there's a giant need on the offensive line and defensive line. All of this will be answered as free agency opens up. And it tells us ultimately if the Panthers are having to push their chips to a certain position. Now, I don't think they'll back themselves into a corner entirely. Maybe Dave Gettleman would have done that, even though he said that was the worst thing you could do. But Cody, if we go out and we go and spend a ton of money and get a center, or we get an offensive lineman in free agency, or you spend a ton of money and you try to get a defensive end, then you know that, hey, those other positions are on the table. But if you don't do that, either of those things, and you try to fill it and plug it with guys like F.A. Abada and Wes Horton, you know there's a time that it's time in the draft to really make a statement.
Yeah, and listen, man, shout out to my man Rich, because he's picking up what I'm putting down, that it's time to build this offensive line, man. He's naming offensive linemen: Cody Ford, Dalton Reisner, Garrett Bradbury. I mean, these are
so well.
Yeah, man. Look, I have converted Rich Kingston to my offensive line cult. He wants to build that wall, man. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving that someone listens to me for once. And by the way, listen, I'm going to shameless plug here, man. Tomorrow there's a brand new mock draft on drafttech.com. I've been working hard on these, writing good comments for the website. There's a new comment for round 1 and 2 every Wednesday. So check that out. I'm putting in good work over there, drafttech.com. But yeah, listen, there's a free agency has to happen first. And listen, man, I'm excited for the draft. It cannot come fast enough. The combine is this month, so my Twitter is going to be lit up with content, so check that out. Yeah, I'm very excited about a lot of the prospects in this draft. Our free agency is going to determine how we end up attacking the draft. Another bit of news to come out from Roto World is there is a rumor that the Panthers are very involved in wanting to find a safety in the draft. So I don't know if that tells you something about us signing Eric Reed to an extension, or Adams, which Adams is 1,000,000 years old. We have to find someone to replace him.
Please go. Yeah. Go. Not Reed, but Adams.
Yeah, Adams. Yeah, he's 100 years old. 100 years old. Time to move on. But a guy that Rich loves is Nasir Adderley out of Delaware, which is another highly rated prospect.
Kid from Marshall that injured. I saw that you were talking with him today. Harris, maybe, or something. He's injured. All these players there. We were talking on Twitter today. I think he was from Marshall, or at least he was playing in Marshall that day. And he just blew this dude up. It was just today where you're on Twitter looking at it. And you said, there's a lot of safeties. That was your comment. There's a lot of safeties late in this draft that you like, and you still haven't given up on Rashawn Galston.
Yeah, Malik Grant. Malik Grant.
That was a violent ass hit. And he didn't even look back to check to see if the guy was okay. He just looked off into the distance and just knew that he just destroyed somebody's life.
Yeah, man. Listen, the dude's 6'2", 205 pounds. So there are legitimate threats to be had later on in these rounds. So I'm definitely interested in spending some draft capital at the safety position. I'm ready for it, man. And
Dude said send Matt Khalil over the wall. She wants Matt Khalil deported. I think we're on to something. Build the wall.
Build the wall. Not around Mexico. Around Cam Newton, damn it.
Priority. Cam Newton first, then we'll start talking about your Mexico mess.
Yeah. Cam Newton is way more important than the border.
What is it going to take for us to get a wall around Cam Newton? Do we have to go play a game in Mexico City?
We might need to sacrifice Matt Khalil at the altar first.
Oh, the Aztec altar at the top. All right.
Throw in a Minnesota Tolu, too.
That one just sounds like it could just, he would fit right in. All right. The number is 252-228-5098.
Hey there, guys. It's Josh from Mass.
What's up, Josh?
Nice.
Everybody out there, glad to be a part of it again, and hope you're all having a great Tuesday night.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh, I think the first thing I need to address is what a lot of us we're getting weighed on, even through that other game that happened a couple days ago. Julius Peppers retiring. I know not a lot of us saw it coming. I mean, we kind of knew this was it, but seeing it actually happen, seeing his little goodbye video there, it really set it home that that's it for him, and that's it for Thomas Davis, and
yeah.
What I would call backbone guys, just as far as team morale goes. And, I thought that was really one of the things maybe kind of glossed over by so many, and especially the writers and the press, and even us to an extent, is, who's going to be the locker room guys? Who's going to step up and fill the void left by those guys? No more Ryan, no more TV, no more Pep. Who's going to be there for the cast of newcomers?
Luke Kuechly.
We need to get younger.
Yeah, but he's not really a rah-rah type of guy,
Veteran experience is just so invaluable, especially when you have talents like McCaffrey and DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Dante Jackson, and then I'm thinking we're going to draft a DE this year, one way or another. So, who's going to be there for those guys? To just kind of show them the way, not just of the game, but of handling yourself.
What a tough question. Outside of Luke Kuechly. What a great question. Thanks, Josh, for Mash, for that question. Fantastic question. It's got to be Luke Kuechly. I know you say he's not right, but he is personable. He is a guy that will speak to the media. I think he could, he's beloved by Panther fans. I think it's going to have to be Cam Newton at this point. It's just Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly, and then we're trying to coach up Christian McCaffrey into that role next. But outside of that, there is, you got either some soft-spoken, some guys, the legends that are kind of, like he said, the backbone of the team. I think losing Ryan Khalil is probably going to create a larger void in the locker room than we thought.
Yeah, and look, shout out to Jay Steverson. Dante Jackson, man, I think that's a guy who, as he starts to come into his own, I could definitely end up see Dante being a vocal leader in this Panthers locker room.
Confident in it.
Yeah, and granted, it'll be his sophomore year. But, yeah, I kind of think that you hit the nail on the head, man. Our team on offense and defense lives and dies by Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly, and we know this. So, yeah, I feel Cam Newton has been a leader in the locker room, even though he doesn't get a lot of credit in the media for that. Cam Newton has been a very good leader. All of the players say so. But Luke, now that Thomas Davis isn't next to him, now he has to do more than just be a badass on the field. He has to be a general. a commander general to really go out there and have his boys playing on all cylinders. Because right now, our defense does not have that person.
Without Thomas Davis there, I think you saw Luke Kuechly assert himself even with Thomas Davis on the field. I think now without someone above him in seniority, as well as someone who he respects as an equivalent type player, caliber player, I think that the idea is, I think Luke Kuechly can be even freer to step into that role.
Yeah, I think so. And really, he might not have a choice, man, because there are no leaders right now on defense, other than Mike Adams. And you and I just said, "Come on, the dude's 100 years old."
It could be KK.
Yeah, good point, man. I mean, that's a name.
He's a guy that is just stand-up dude, passes out Bibles in Chicago. The numbers speak for themselves. The problem with the Carolina Panthers at this moment, and if you go check out Charlotte Vibe's page, he's doing a lot of player interviews, and it's surprising. It's not a problem. It's just surprising to me. You expect all these guys to have personalities like Dante Jackson, but they don't. Like Ian Thomas, James Bradbury, Moten, these guys are the soft, they're the quiet people that never talk, so I think it is difficult for them to step in and fill some of that when they just don't. Pep is like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, Pep was never a locker room leader. He went to a team where it had Urlacher on it and he had Peanut Tillman on it. And so he could shrink into anonymity a bit and just let his play speak for him. Maybe KK is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, K1 short. Mario Addison is another name. If he's going to be here another year, and I mean, he definitely is. There are a few guys that have to step up now. I mean, it's time to reload. That's what we're doing. We're reloading. We have the core, but now we're adding some more pieces. And yeah, we need leaders in the locker room that are going to be able to take command and tell all the guys, we got to defend our dirt and get the job done. So, yeah.
That's the guy for me. My answer right there is KK Short. Look, we got another call that just came in from the Cat Calls line. Cody, you might know a little something about this.
Hey, I got a question about McCaffrey and his wear this year. What about drafting someone to take the load off of him?
Ooh, that's from Ray Lashney.
Kinda. Yeah, that's my brother. Listen, if they wanted to be anonymous, there's no way. I'm calling them out. That's my brother John. He's a Saints fan. I love him anyway, whatever. But it actually is a good question. Because I mean, we had CJ Anderson on the roster, and then
if he gets hurt, what if Christian McCaffrey gets hurt? Serious?
I have a name for you.
Okay.
Elijah Holyfield, running back out of Georgia. And yes, if that name sounds familiar, it is because that is the son of the real deal, Evander Holyfield. So that's a name. Henderson, Daryl Henderson out of Memphis is another name. But no, he hits the nail on the head, man. Christian McCaffrey had like 80 or 90 something percent of the snaps.
I don't think he missed a snap until like week 14, dude.
Yeah, man. Listen.
It was like week 16. Like he played 100% of the offensive snaps.
More snaps than Ezekiel Elliott had, than Todd Gurley had in the middle of the season. I mean, we ran him into the dirt. And then after the season's over, Ron Rivera's like, yeah, maybe next year we'll try and tone that down and dial that back some. Man, dude, Ron Rivera frustrates the hell out of me so bad.
Ken Dye with the joke of the night. He says, but does he have, he's talking about Elijah Holyfield. And he says, but does he have his father's ear?
Maybe not like Mike Tyson does.
Tyson does. Not the same. All right. So good calls there. Good things to be thinking about. The problem with the Carolina Panthers at this point is that there are so many. We're like a big piece of Swiss cheese at this moment. There are a lot of holes and a lot of, but the good news is they have to be filled. We have to play next year. We have to field 53 men. We will figure out a way. And sometimes when you think you got your best roster, you don't. And sometimes when you don't know what's going to happen, the roster can be filled nicely out. We'll hope for that. All right. C3 Panthers podcast. Let's do this. I do want to talk briefly. We mentioned we got to talk about the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And
we have to, though.
Yeah, we do have to talk about it. One, I'm a little on Trey Wingo's side here. I am annoyed by people saying it was a cruddy book game. It was a defensive showdown. This was a Ron Rivera Super Bowl right here.
A wet dream for Ron Rivera.
Yeah, I did think. Look, I thought the defenses came out slugging. I was more impressed. I was surprised by how good the Patriots defense played.
Yeah,
this is that while they did frustrate the Rams offense, they were just they were playing with their hair on fire. But I also think the Rams defense played tremendous as well, 13-3. To me, there's only one simple thing to talk about when it comes to the Super Bowl is the aura of Sean McVay. Has there been any dampening to the brightness? Because the strangest, bizarrest thing ever is Ty Gurley put on the shelf. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to hear this crap about clearly he was injured, because clearly he wasn't. Or nothing was clear. That's my point. We don't know if he's injured. We don't know if he's not injured. He says he's good. The coach says he's good. They say he's good. Maybe you could say that smoke and mirrors before the game, Cody. But after the game, why don't you just say this? We thought that Ty didn't have enough in him. We thought he was dealing with that. He was hampered too much by injury, so we had to try some different things. Why wouldn't you even use that as an excuse if that was the case? I'm a Gurley man. What the hell happened there?
Are you a Gurley man, Tony Dunn? All right. Well, you heard it here first. But, listen, I kind of think that the game plan, if you look at the Rams all year, their first plan of attack was to run the football. And Ty Gurley had a breakout year again this year. I mean, he was in the MVP race. But at a certain point, he just absolutely fell off the map. And I do think that changed what the plan for the Rams was in the postseason and in the Super Bowl.
How do you say someone falls off the map when you don't put him on the field?
I mean, he wasn't healthy. I mean, in my mind, he wasn't healthy enough to carry the load that they'd been asking him to do all season. And then, at the end of the season, he's invisible. I mean, all right, Tony, why would they just say, oh, C.J. Anderson is the better of our backs and not play Todd? I mean, I don't know. Well,
first of all, I looked at what the Rams were doing, and their offensive line was struggling. That's the thing. Is that they put Ty Gurley. One of the things is they put Ty Gurley in a couple of times, and then either didn't give it to him, or he was tackled in the backfield. It did not look like it was a limitation. That was the problem. C.J. Anderson did 0 as well. So I understand in a logical world, it makes sense for us to say that Ty Gurley was injured, but he's over there standing on the sideline saying he wants more carries. Ty Gurley with one leg is better than half of the league. And then you're looking at this. You're talking about a team where, like Lynn says, Goff was a deer in the headlights. To me, this was a problem with the offensive line. And I think that McVay wanted to pass first too much in this game. And once then, they couldn't establish the run. They didn't establish the run. Play action didn't matter one bit to them at that point. I just don't understand why you don't run Gurley to the outside a couple of times earlier and see what happens. There's no way that, I mean, how injured was he?
I mean, I feel we're gonna find out in the coming weeks about how injured he was. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, but I just feel as though he had to be pretty badly hurt, because you're not just gonna say, you know, after having an incredible season, oh, C.J. Anderson's the better option, and let's depend on Jared Goff, who, by the way, I kind of think has been exposed a little bit. I mean, he was missing some wide open receivers and in that game too. I kind of think Jared Goff is an undercover turd. Whenever.
Now we got to hear is that here comes Billy Marshall and them to.
No, I know he's on that too. And listen, he goes hard on him, but you know, I do feel that there is some legitimacy to the narrative that, I mean, when you look at Cam Newton is always having to make magic. Okay, Jared Goff, whenever things are going his way, the offensive line is fine. The receivers have 5 feet of separation. Boom, he's dropping dimes. But when he has to make magic on his own, I mean, the dude falls apart. And we've seen it against the Bears, the Saints. We saw it a bunch. So, yeah, I kind of think that Jared, I don't know. I'm not too high on him.
Kendai says that young QBs rarely play well in the Super Bowl. Big Ben when he won his Super Bowl, when he first came into the league, had a QBR rating that was less than his age. It was 22.6. That was his QBR rating and winning the Super Bowl. Look, I don't think Jared Goff played well. I mean, obviously he didn't play well. They scored 3 points. I think it showed early when he was running like early in the first quarter, maybe the first series that they had the ball, and he just didn't throw it away. Like he's running to the sidelines and he's like waiting for something to develop, and the dude caught him. I've never seen that. When you're running to the sidelines,
yeah,
you're about to get caught, you chunk it down the field, you're out of the box, and he didn't even do that. He tried to like throw it at the ground out of bounds. It was crazy.
And zero athleticism too. He had a lane to be able to run and just couldn't.
I think though I do think some of this, I think a lot of this falls on Sean McVay. And listen, somebody brought this up. I saw this on Twitter, and I'm not a Rams fan. I don't follow them closely enough. But the person said that Sean McVay is a game planning genius. But when when the other team adjusts, he has trouble adjusting. He said he didn't have a good feel for the game. He said he didn't have a good feel and flow for the game. I think this is just as much on Sean McVay as it is on anybody when it comes to the Rams, because their offense, one of the highest scoring offenses in the league, could not find a way. And they couldn't find a way. And you're trying to tell me that in trying to find the way that they couldn't find, that they didn't explore path, lane, Todd Gurley.
I don't know, man. Do you think there's some kind of conspiracy going on here?
I just don't think it's this. Is that I think that I'm not saying that he's a bad coach. I'm not saying he's not. I just think this is that at the very minimum, you have to walk away with criticism equally. He cannot be immune to criticism with the idea that Jared Goff is just a limited quarterback.
I mean, can't it not be a little bit of both?
No,
I think, yeah.
But you have to be able to say, yes, there's limitations with Goff, but McVay did not do what was necessary from an offensive genius, whatever point.
Yeah, listen, no doubt. But I mean, okay, think of it this way. If going into the match, a fortune teller came to you and said the Rams are going to hold the Patriots to 13 points, in your mind, do you think that the Patriots are going to win that game, being held to 13 points? No.
I think that the only thing that was more impressive than Wade Phillips' defensive game plan was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, who is now the head coach of the Dolphins. Wade Phillips, I walked out of there going, once again, Wade Phillips is a freaking defensive genius. Holding Tom Brady, making them look pedestrian. That's my point, is that there's got to be something there that you can't muster up more than 3 points. Really disappointing overall. There's a couple of things. There's a couple of calls. I'm just stunned by the girl stuff. So most people, though, said it was a boring Super Bowl. They didn't like it.
I wasn't. I'm of the mindset that I'm not a fan of either of those teams. So I'm just watching it because it's the Super Bowl anyway. The thing about a defensive showdown is it's not fun until the very end, because then it's still close and all these plays matter even more. Listen, it wasn't fun by any means. It wasn't, especially compared to last year with the Pats in Philadelphia throwing for 500 yards or an epic comeback or whatever. It just wasn't any of those, And then to see Tom Brady hold up another one,
I know.
Watch, rinse, and repeat, man.
I know.
I knew it too. I knew it.
Yes, in the world. It's like we are as Carolina Panther fans with Cam Newton as our Michael, our Archangel Michael, warrior angel, is that we are going to have to go and take down evil. Evil is real. It really exists, and it has manifested itself in the form of Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots.
And by the way, Cam Newton-led Panthers are undefeated against the Patriots.
Against evil. Good will win. It will prevail in the long term.
But it all starts with building that wall, baby. Build that wall.
Fortifying yourself against the dangers of evil. Build that wall.
Build the wall.
Quickly, commercials is that it's pretty simple to me. The NFL 100 commercial was tremendous. It's one of the best commercials I've ever seen. It was so many awesome moments. Even when Franco catches the shoestring, everything was so great about that. Even Tom Brady telling the youngin to hold all his rings. All of it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, man. I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm a Game of Thrones super fan. So the Bud Light commercial where the mountain crushes the Bud Light and the dragon comes, I ate that shit up. I'm hyped as hell for the final season. That was fun.
I like the Olay commercial where the girl, they couldn't recognize her face anymore in the iPhone facial recognition. And then I know it's kind of corny, but I like that. And I like the one where it was the texting with the wife about where to eat dinner or whatever. And then he was deleting it. Some of these are also age appropriate or what just in life. I don't watch Game of Thrones, so that one didn't resonate as much with me.
Yeah,
did some of the others. So overall, I would say the to me, you guys said that not you guys, but a lot of people talked about the boringness of the Super Bowl. I say the boringness of the halftime show. I thought the halftime show was
terrible. Oh my God, I wanted to die during that halftime show.
I'm a giant Outkast fan.
Yeah, me too.
I grew up in the 90s listening to rap. When Big Boy, Andre 3000, all of that. I mean, even that was even Big Boy's part wasn't cool. Man. Bringing out Andre with him and resurrecting just for a moment Outkast, it just wasn't, nothing hit home to me at all in it.
And does the lead singer from Maroon 5, not only was his face just so bored during the entire time, if you noticed it, but does that guy not have the worst tattoos ever? I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to the man's tattoos. They're just placed everywhere on the man's body, and the California written across his stomach.
The best, I saw somebody put up on Twitter a comparison of him, and it said California, and then it showed this fat dude in Iowa guzzling this beer. Iowa across it. It's just like, yes. Yeah, I mean, just lackluster there. But you know, who knows? I mean, who cares?
And
really?
another thing
About the halftime show. I'm usually driving from one bar to another at that point anyway.
And on Reddit, there was a big deal. They wanted for them to play SpongeBob, Sweet, Sweet Victory. There's a clip from the show, and they sing Sweet, Sweet Victory in the SpongeBob show. And Reddit wanted that to be in the Super Bowl. And they even teased it. They showed SpongeBob for a minute and made you feel they were going to play that song, and they never did. So the whole thing was a mess.
Everything
terrible,
anticlimactic since we had Prince and U2 at halftime. Everything else, it's going to be hard to muscle up against that. I mean, you're going to need to bring in a heavy hitter like Jay-Z or something. I don't even know what you could do. Who cares? I don't care about the halftime show. Let's care about this. Let's care about closing this show out.
All right.
We need to get some ice up picks in here. This is the time of the show where we honor that legend, Steve Smith, and tell someone to ice up, son. Anybody is fair game. We're going to tell someone to ice up, to toughen up, to get it together out there. My ice up pick this week, because Cody, you're going to need to go ahead and do your share screen to show your video.
All right.
Well, I don't know if it have the sound. I can probably, if you need the sound, I can do it.
No sound necessary.
All right. So my ice up pick goes to, hold on, where did it go? You're trying to tell me I closed the window. Holy cow. Why do I got to do these things? Control it. To a story here. And I was all that pro football reference crap I was doing. And all right. So St. Louis police officer charged in fatal shooting of fellow officer asks for end to rumors. That's the title of the headline on CNN. So I am icing up Nathaniel Hendren, 29, is accused of killing Caitlin Alex, 24, on Thursday at his residence. He is upset that there is gossip surrounding the accidental death, that it was more than that it was murder. But here's what happened. Two police officers partying at their place or drinking, and the two allegedly took turns holding a revolver containing one bullet and pulling the trigger. So they played Russian roulette, where they did this, where the first story I read is that the guy that they shot just into nowhere, then she took the gun and shot at him, then he took this gun and shot at her and killed her. Now, to me, I don't know about y'all when it comes to math, but like, you got to know that if you got away with 2 clicks on that sucker, that the boom is coming, right? The second of all thing is that, come on, man. Like, I know that, look, is that this isn't an anti-police moment on the show, because, look, I appreciate anybody who serves their society, but we do have to caution worship of any group of people, whether it be firefighters, teachers, policemen, public officials. This is just dumb right here, right? It's just straight dumb. Is that you're playing Russian roulette and you're 2 police officers? I don't know what's going on here. I am kind of with the innuendo, is if you're dumb enough to play Russian roulette with each other, I think that this sounds fishy to me personally, but I'm icing up idiots. And in this case, one that took the life of someone. And I mean, look, I don't want to trample on somebody's grave, but this is just not a cool, just is a bizarre story. And I got to say, don't play Russian roulette, folks, or you might have to go on ice as I ice you up.
Yeah, don't play Russian roulette with a loaded gun with your friends while you're on duty as a police officer. That seems pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, my ice up pick. You know, listen, everyone knows there's only one Super Bowl winner, and there has to be a loser, and eventually that losing team has to come home. And I live right smack dab in Charlotte, and I was so proud of the Panther fans here in Charlotte after the Panthers lost the Super Bowl. They came out in droves to see the buses come home and meet the Panthers off the bus and tell them how much we love them and how much that season just kicked ass. We loved it so much. You know, what they did for people here in the Carolinas, and we'll never forget that. You know, the Rams had a pretty damn good season, but it really didn't appear that their fan base cared too much about it.
Oh, God.
Look at all them Rams fans, baby.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. LA represent, son.
Wow. That's some dang pathetic right there.
Now, at first, I'm like, all right. There's
Maybe
four.
it's like 2 blocks away.
Yeah, there's that 4, maybe 5 people right there. At first, I'm like, all right, am I being duped? Because that doesn't seem.
Lynn says it's not true in the chat.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I have not seen any evidence to that being, you know, fake or whatever. How do I stop the damn screen share? I'm stupid. Okay, yeah, there we go.
My mom's here, and Mom, your student's dad played in the Super Bowl for the Rams, not brother.
All right, so maybe I need to ice up. Maybe I need to ice up. Legacy Lens is telling me there were fans that
just go ahead and ice up that video.
Yeah, all right, fine. I'll ice up that video because they were promoting that on Twitter. Like that was all the fans that showed up. So whoever promoted that video, yeah, ice up. But I wasn't. That no one was disputing it either. So I don't know. I believe Lynn. She's in California, so I'll take her word. So
if there's a prole on the roster for the Rams. All right, so there's our ice up pick. We got a lot to go. We got to get out of here. It's 11:17. We had some problems early in the show, but we got through it. Cody, tell them how they can follow you on Twitter.
At CODYLAC, Cody Lack on Twitter. There's a brand new draft tomorrow on drafttech.com. Comments for the first and second round. I've been putting a lot of effort into them, so go and check it out. And that's it, man. That's all she wrote for me.
All right. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. We encourage you to smash the thumbs up button on YouTube, to subscribe to the show, and to interact each and every week. Use the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We'll be back here next Tuesday. We're going to get those technical difficulties worked out and get you back into the most interactive podcast out there, because we're going to be back on Facebook, Periscope. We'll get all that worked out. Whatever we got to do, I will figure it out. Right? But until then, keep pounding.
Keep pounding, y'all.
All right. We're out of here, Cody.